Oh, what a difference 10 years can make. I'm John Renton with the retro review of WWE NXT Arrival 2014, the first special on the WWE Network that was at the time in its infancy, and then it became the award-winning WWE Network after working out the kinks because you really got me, and then the entire WWE library and all the libraries that they had under their umbrella, AA, went to the cock, and soon they're going to be going to Netflix. For what price? I don't fucking know. Probably an increased price, massively increased price, where people are going to have to use certain VPNs to try to get the library on Netflix around the world. I decided to take a look back at this first ever WWE Live Network special to see how everything has changed. I mean, obviously, things evolve, as I'm being told when it comes to professional wrestling. Yes, certain things evolve for good, certain things evolve for bad, certain things evolve in different ways. There were moments on the show that still hold up, and then there were moments that remind me, oh yeah, the NXT brand had a lot of growing to do. So, considering that as of this recording, the anniversary is still about 2.5 weeks away, why not take a look back on? You know, there are certain things that weren't as good as I remember. Now, maybe that's because now with eyes that are 10 years older and I'm a lot more jaded because, you know, there's certain styles that just don't appeal to me, and none of this was X-rated. Yes, that's the Aerosmith references. That's the best I can goddamn do. Forgive me, I'm getting older and I don't really give a shit anymore. This show actually did have quite a few positives, particularly the opener. But let's talk about NXT, how it was rebranded from the game show bullshit. You had Seth Rollins as the NXT champion, and then Big E Langston, and then you had Bo Dallas as the champion. Back when they featured Bo, when you had to Bo leave, and Bo then got a really inflated head, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and other talents that have gone on to do bigger and better things, some that aren't even in wrestling anymore. And there was one particular person on this particular program that did not deserve to be involved in a wrestling ring at all. I will get to that pretty soon. Then, now, Forever Together. And, yeah, you know, in light of recent stuff that's come out about Vince McMahon, it's just bizarre to look back on these shows and just see, well, things are going on over here, just all this stuff coming to light, and just all this. And that would get me sidetracked, but just, it seemed so much better back then, didn't it? And I will say, in regards to the Full Sail crowd, fuck Full Sail, they were goddamn idiots and made the shows about themselves. At first, they were kind of cool, and then got a little bit too inflated with their egos, if you will. Dusty Rhodes was in the crowd, the late great Dusty Rhodes. So that intro music, the roar of the crowd, stomping our feet, we're making it loud. Triple H was in the ring, by the way, before the theme hit. This is NXT, and the crowd was cheering. A lot of smoke, a lot of stuff and everything. And it's just hard to believe after a decade just where all these people are. So it's Eden Styles, a.k.a. Brandy Rhodes, somebody who is a great ring announcer, could be a great valet, and that's all she ever should have been, because she definitely wasn't a wrestler. My God, she was a lousy wrestler. And she could never be the focal point of any particular wrestling segment because she wasn't any fucking good, and thankfully has been off television or just in the front row with the fans where she belongs. Just saying. As a ring announcer, she was great, but then she tried to think that she should be a wrestler. Didn't work. So anyway, Tom Facefucker Phillips, Byron Saxton, and William Regal, who just had his retirement match, so to speak, against Cesaro just a bit before. Yeah, remember Tom and the face fucking thing? Remember that? Remember that stuff? Is he still doing TNA commentary? I do wonder, because I haven't heard much about him. Byron Saxton is still there. Regal left for a bit to go to AEW, and then came back, and recently appeared on NXT programming. So we get Sami Zayn against the real American Cesaro. He's not Antonio Cesaro. He's just Cesaro. The real American stuff. We the people. My God, my goddamn God. Cheering that stuff, and some were showing their blatant ignorance and their blatant racism, and some were just going along with cheering the fact that Zeb Coulter, a.k.a. Dutch Mantel, is a xenophobic piece of shit. But nevertheless, and also so is Jack Swagger. I don't think Cesaro is. And then they had him win the Under the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 30 and proceeded to never capitalize on it because Vince didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Probably because he was doing other stuff. Goddamn creepy bastard. Anyway, Sami Zayn, who had a knee injury going into this, but kept fighting back. It was for the final time till the next time. And Sami, just incredibly gifted, really, really was over here. Him and then Owens would come into NXT just a little bit later, a.k.a. Kevin Steen. They would come over from Ring of Honor. He dropped the El Generico thing he was doing. Some great stuff here. He was really getting the crowd behind him. Cesaro was a great heel here. The diving DDT that that Sami tried to do. Cesaro hit the uppercut. He was focusing on the back, targeted the knee. This was the longest match on the show by a few minutes, and it was a good thing this went so long, given some of the other shit that we saw on it. But the catch into the slam on the ramp, the carpeted ramp, with that much carpeting, very, very minute amount of carpeting. And we got the Koji clutch. That was great, but then Cesaro turned that into the stretch muffer. I think that's what it's called. A rope break. We got counters all for 2. A haluva kick just for a 2 count. And then an uppercut, but only 1. Oh my God, he kicked out at 1. And then he fired back, or tried to. And then he got hit with the second uppercut and the neutralizer for the victory for Cesaro. And then a show of respect after Cesaro was going to leave, and then came back. And that was nice. To show respect, Sami continuing his ascent, his slow ascent, his build up to being the NXT champion by the end of the year, beating the man that won this particular main event. I can talk. So, Mojo Rawley. Remember when Mojo was hyped? Is Mojo Rawley still wrestling, or did he just go away? I'm genuinely asking. I don't know. I have nothing against the guy. So Mojo Rawley beat C.J. Parker, the future Juice Robinson, who had to leave after, I believe, losing to the great Khali, Fabulous He, Ali Ababwa. I don't know what Caffeine Mojo was on. I don't know if I want to know. And there's nothing to write home about. Mojo won with the taint drop, as I call it, or the hyperdrive. And yeah, C.J. Parker would cease to exist, and he would go on to get a run in New Japan. Now is in AEW. Actually, is currently injured with a back injury. He's married to Toni Storm, though, so I think he's doing all right. So, Emma had her bubble popping phase. That was certainly strange. Ascension package. Connor and Victor, who faced off against Too Cool in an NXT Tag Title Open Challenge. I believe this is the last high-profile appearance for Brian Christopher, a.k.a. Brian Lawler, Jerry Lawler's kid. If I'm right, I think Scotty had, beaten... He had beaten cancer and was, making an appearance here. Because I know he'd had health issues and would have health issues and is doing all right for himself, so that's great. Yeah, this is a little bit rough. Mainly because Too Cool had seen better days, but everybody ages, and the Ascension one with the Fall of Man. That sweep and then arm combo that they do. And then Paige cuts a promo. She's reigning and defending NXT Women's Championship. She's full of spunk. And so is the championship. See, I would feel bad saying this about Paige, a.k.a. Saraya, Defender of Abuserverse, and I'm not saying people deserve to be taken advantage of, but let's be honest, she's shown herself to be a complete shitbag that likes to defend shitbags and date shitbags, so maybe don't be a shitbag. So, that being said, we get to Rick and Charlotte in the front row. Here's Stephanie to take credit for inventing women's wrestling. Because philanthropy is the future of marketing, and it's the way brands are going to win. Remember when Stephanie compared the steroid trial to 3,000 or more people dying, in the 9/11 attacks? Remember that? Remember that stuff? Good job there, Stephanie. You're no different than your dad as far as being soulless. Emma does her bubble dance. And I do want to say, though, that one thing I forgot to acknowledge about Scotty is he broke out the worm, the W-O-R-M. Whoop, 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 whoa, whoa, and it got stopped. I'm just going to say that right there. I had to get the dances in on one particular thing. But yeah, Emma doing the weird bubble popping thing and this, and I don't know what the hell this is. So, it's Paige versus Emma for the NXT Women's Championship. Both these women are full of spunk. Okay, I should stop saying that, but I'm not going to. This was not as good as I remember. That may be down to the fact that Paige was good for the time, but let's be honest. You take a look at how Paige was even by 2016. And yes, she had her injuries. She had her stuff like that. I get it. She maybe wasn't all that great, and it was just nice to see somebody that looked a little bit different. Because, yeah, she had to fight back to get medically cleared by AEW, but she was never really that great, was she? She was kind of just decent. Emma was pretty good. Emma still is pretty good and has fought through a whole lot of health issues and did the Emma sandwich where she's sandwiched in the corner. Never mind. There was back focus by Emma, like Paige isn't used to getting her back pounded repeatedly, and a powerbomb for 2. Paige Turner just for 2. You know, looking at that move, I kind of see why Paige ended up having bad neck problems as opposed to good neck problems. It was just from doing the moves and the impact she took in the ring and nothing else. So, she did the Scorpion Crusher, or whatever the hell it is. She does a reverse Scorpion and then does almost like a butterfly like lock on the arms. And Emma tapped out. Wasn't a bad match. I enjoyed taking shots at Paige because that's what she fucking deserves at this point, but it is what it is. And then a show of respect, kind of, sort of, maybe. And then Adrian Neville, rather, by the way, as I struggle to remember what the fuck his name is. Remember Neville. And now he's Pac. Does he even still wrestle? I haven't seen him for a while. Full Sail and weekly NXT plug. Dusty and Pat are in the front row, and it's great. Dusty, revered, and Pat Patterson, inventor of the Royal Rumble, first ever Intercontinental Champion with a tournament win in Rio de Janeiro, and also the Ring Boy scandal gentleman. And I'm just saying that. You can't tell me that he wasn't involved in that in some way, because we know Vince likes to cover up for his friends. So anyway, I forgot Xavier had somebody call my mama because Funk is on a roll. Tyler Breeze, he was once over, believe it or not. They were going to have a match, and then Rusev Machka showed up and beat the shit out of both of them, while Lana, a.k.a. now CJ Perry, did what she does best. Stand there and not try to wrestle. Rusev has certainly come a long way, hasn't he? He is now reaming everybody in the AEW land, I guess is the best way I could describe it. Bo Dallas package, the Bo Levers, and it was nice that he got full of himself and actually developed a personality. I wonder if he's ever going to wrestle again. I genuinely wonder. I'm not knocking. I do wonder if he's ever going to wrestle again. So Larry Zbyszko and Steve Keirn are in the front row. I wonder if Larry smelled any New World odor there. If that is a deep cut for wrestling fans. And we get a ladder match package. Shawn Michaels comes out with the NXT title. Fans are chanting one more match. Don't worry, folks. Shawn would never destroy the credibility of his retirement by coming out for... he did. If only he had come out for a good match and not that. That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. He should never wrestle again. He shouldn't. He has no need to. He had a hell of a career. He, had career-ending back surgery. Had nothing to do with all the copious amounts of drugs he was on, and then he got saved, trading one addiction for another, and now he's there. So he plugs his DVD, I believe it's the Mr. WrestleMania one, or the Blu-ray. I remember I used to have all those DVDs and Blu-rays, and now, you know what, if the stuff's on the network and it goes to Netflix and there's stuff that they edit, I have my memories, I can remember stuff, and really, a lot of the older stuff, even the stuff from the 90s, I'm going to wonder how that's going to age, considering that Vince is all over that particular programming. Adrian Neville against Bo Dallas. It's an NXT title ladder match. Okay. All I'm going to say about this is you really have to see some of the weekly TV, just see how full of himself Bo was. And Adrian Neville, super over, doing some really good stuff. It is hard to believe that it has been almost 10 years since he was wowing audiences in this particular match. They did the usual stuff with the crazy bumps with the ladder and, some that ended up, landing not so great. There were some careless points because furniture doesn't cooperate with you. And there was a leap spot by Adrian to get above Bo. Looked like they were going to tease a German suplex to the floor. That would have killed both of them because Bo would have hit his head right on the back of the goddamn ropes. But then, bumps on the ladder, we get the red rocket arrow on the ladder, well, on the bow and then onto the ladder. And Neville manages to get up there, get the title, and Bo can't get his title. No, Bo. And that's it. That's it right there. So Adrian Neville would reign supreme as not only the man that gravity forgot, but the champion that everybody kind of sort of remembers if you watched NXT back then, at least from this point. And he was a pretty good champ, all things considered. Then Sami Zayn beat him, and then Kevin Owens turned on his friend, which Kevin Owens never turns on people. Why would you question that? But there we go. That is NXT Arrival in a nutshell. What do you think of this particular event? Were you watching NXT at the time? Was this your first introduction to NXT? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.